What if I told you that while you sleep tonight, your body already knows how to heal your arteries, it just needs the right signals? Most people think healing only happens with medicines or procedures. But science shows us something powerful. Your body has a built-in repair system, and nighttime is when it works best. So before you dismiss this, listen carefully, because what you do before bed can change what happens inside your blood vessels overnight. One simple, natural approach includes virgin olive oil, raw honey, and Ceylon cinnamon, which support arterial repair while you rest. When the body enters sleep, it shifts into a biological state that is fundamentally different from waking hours. Heart rate slows, blood pressure naturally drops, and stress hormones decline. This creates an internal environment where repair becomes the priority rather than defense. During this time, the body releases higher levels of growth hormone and activates cellular maintenance processes that are essential for restoring tissues, including the delicate inner lining of the arteries. This is not accidental. Human biology is designed so that healing work happens most efficiently when the body is at rest. Many people underestimate how active the body is during sleep. While the mind appears quiet, cells are highly engaged in repair. The endothelium, the thin layer that lines blood vessels, responds strongly to nighttime signals. Reduced oxidative stress and lower inflammatory activity allow these cells to regenerate and regain flexibility. When sleep quality is poor, or when the body enters the night under metabolic stress, this repair cycle becomes less effective and arteries remain inflamed and stiff. What makes nighttime especially powerful is the way circadian rhythms regulate healing. The body follows an internal clock that controls hormone release, enzyme activity, and immune function. At night, the clock favors restoration. Blood vessels relax, circulation redistributes, and tissues receive the opportunity to recover from daily wear. This is why cardiovascular events are closely linked to disrupted sleep patterns and why long-term vascular health depends so heavily on what happens after the lights go out. There's another critical factor at work during sleep: reduced exposure to damaging stimuli. During the day, arteries are constantly responding to spikes in blood sugar, stress-related hormones, and inflammatory triggers from food and environment. At night, these stressors can subside if the body is supported correctly. When the bloodstream is calmer, arteries are no longer in survival mode. They can focus on repairing microdamage, restoring elasticity, and improving the smooth flow of blood. This is where timing becomes more important than quantity. Supporting the body before bed is not about doing more, but about doing things at the right moment. Gentle nutritional signals, calm digestion, and a relaxed nervous system allow the body to fully engage its nighttime repair program. When this alignment happens, the arteries receive clear biological instructions to restore balance rather than respond to stress. One of the most effective combinations includes virgin olive oil, raw honey, and Ceylon cinnamon, which work together to provide anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and circulation-supporting signals during sleep. Sleep also enhances communication between the immune system and blood vessels. Inflammation is not always harmful. It is a repair signal. But when inflammation remains elevated, it damages artery walls. During healthy sleep, inflammatory markers naturally decline, allowing repair signals to dominate. This shift is essential for maintaining healthy circulation and preventing long-term arterial damage. What is often overlooked is how small, consistent nighttime habits influence this entire process. The body responds to patterns. When it receives the same supportive signals night after night, it learns to anticipate repair. Arteries adapt by becoming more responsive, more flexible, and better protected against daily stress. Over time, this creates measurable improvements in blood flow and vascular resilience. The most powerful changes in health rarely come from dramatic interventions. They come from understanding how the body works and working with it. Nighttime is not passive. It is biologically strategic. When sleep is respected and supported, the body does not simply rest, it restores. And when arteries are given the conditions they need to heal, they respond with improved circulation, reduced inflammation, and stronger long-term cardiovascular function. Inflammation plays a central role in the health of the arteries, yet it is often misunderstood. In its natural form, inflammation is a protective response, designed to repair injury and defend against harm. The problem begins when this response becomes chronic. Inside the arteries, persistent low-grade inflammation quietly damages the inner lining, making blood vessels less flexible and more prone to plaque buildup. This process does not happen overnight, but once it starts, it steadily interferes with healthy circulation. The inner lining of the arteries, known as the endothelium, is highly sensitive to inflammatory signals. When inflammation is elevated, these cells lose their ability to regulate blood flow efficiently. Nitric oxide production declines, vessels become less responsive, and blood pressure regulation weakens. This creates a cascade where arteries stiffen, circulation slows, and tissues receive less oxygen and nutrients. Many people attribute these changes to aging, but biology tells a different story. Inflammation, not age alone, drives much of this decline. Everyday lifestyle factors continuously influence arterial inflammation. Blood sugar spikes, oxidative stress, emotional stress, and poor dietary patterns all contribute to inflammatory signaling. Over time, the arteries remain in a defensive state, constantly reacting instead of repairing. When this happens, even minor damage accumulates. The arterial wall thickens, plaque becomes more unstable, and the risk of circulation problems increases, often without obvious symptoms in the early stages. What makes inflammation particularly damaging is its silent nature. A person can feel normal while inflammatory processes are actively altering arterial structure. This is why addressing inflammation is not about chasing symptoms, but about protecting the biological environment inside the blood vessels. When inflammatory markers remain high, the body diverts energy away from repair and toward defense. Healing slows, flexibility decreases, and resilience is lost. Reducing inflammation allows arteries to shift out of survival mode. When inflammatory signals calm down, endothelial cells regain their ability to communicate with surrounding tissues. Blood vessels relax, circulation improves, and oxygen delivery becomes more efficient. These effects can be amplified when combined with natural, supportive nutrients like virgin olive oil, raw honey, and Ceylon cinnamon, which help modulate oxidative stress, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce inflammation, giving arteries an environment conducive to repair. One of the most compelling aspects of inflammation control is how responsive the body is when given the right signals. The arteries are not passive pipes. They are living tissues that adapt to their environment. When the bloodstream carries fewer inflammatory molecules, arteries respond by restoring balance. This includes improved elasticity, smoother blood flow, and reduced stress on the heart. Consistency is critical. Occasional efforts do not override years of inflammatory exposure. The body learns from repeated patterns. When supportive habits are practiced regularly, inflammatory pathways gradually quiet down. This allows repair mechanisms to operate more efficiently, protecting arteries from further damage and slowing the progression of vascular aging. Perhaps the most encouraging insight is that inflammation is modifiable. It is not a fixed condition or an inevitable consequence of time. By understanding how daily choices influence inflammatory signaling, it becomes possible to protect arterial health in a meaningful way. When inflammation is controlled, arteries are no longer under constant attack. They regain their ability to function smoothly, adapt to stress, and support healthy circulation throughout the body. Blood sugar stability is one of the most underestimated factors in arterial health. Yet its impact is profound and continuous. Every time blood sugar rises sharply, it sets off a chain reaction inside the bloodstream. Glucose molecules interact with proteins and fats, forming compounds that increase oxidative stress and irritate the arterial walls. This irritation signals the immune system, and inflammation follows. When this cycle repeats day after day, arteries are placed under constant metabolic pressure, even in people who do not consider themselves diabetic. The inner lining of the arteries is especially vulnerable to these fluctuations. Sudden glucose spikes impair endothelial function, reducing the availability of nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for keeping blood vessels relaxed and responsive. Without adequate nitric oxide, arteries become less flexible and more resistant to healthy blood flow. Over time, this contributes to stiffness, higher blood pressure, and impaired circulation, particularly in smaller vessels that supply the brain, heart, and legs. What makes blood sugar instability particularly damaging is how quietly it operates. A person may feel energized after a sugary meal or late-night snack, unaware that their arteries are being exposed to oxidative stress. During the night, when the body should be focused on repair, unstable glucose levels force it into damage control mode instead. Instead of restoring tissues, the body must manage excess sugar, release insulin, and counter inflammatory signals. This interrupts the natural healing rhythm that arteries depend on. Stable blood sugar creates a completely different internal environment. When glucose levels remain balanced, oxidative stress decreases, insulin signaling becomes more efficient, and inflammatory pathways quiet down. This allows arterial cells to focus on maintenance rather than defense. Blood vessels can relax, circulation becomes smoother, and oxygen delivery improves. These changes may not be immediately felt, but at the cellular level, they are significant and cumulative. Nighttime is a critical period for this balance. Late evening sugar spikes are particularly disruptive because insulin sensitivity naturally declines at night. When the body is forced to process high glucose levels during this window, it increases vascular stress. In contrast, maintaining gentle blood sugar levels overnight supports uninterrupted repair processes. Arteries benefit from a calm metabolic state where repair hormones can do their work without interference. Natural agents such as virgin olive oil, raw honey, and Ceylon cinnamon support stable blood sugar by enhancing insulin sensitivity, reducing oxidative stress, and promoting smooth circulation. This combination ensures that even during sleep, the arteries are in an environment conducive to repair and restoration. There is also a strong connection between blood sugar stability and plaque development. Repeated glucose spikes contribute to the oxidation of LDL particles, making them more likely to embed in arterial walls. Once there, they attract inflammatory cells, accelerating plaque formation. Stable glucose levels reduce this risk by limiting oxidative modification and supporting healthier lipid behavior in the bloodstream. Another important aspect is how blood sugar affects circulation to the smallest blood vessels. Microcirculation depends on flexible, responsive arteries. Fluctuating glucose levels damage these tiny vessels first, leading to poor tissue oxygenation long before major arteries show a visible problem. By stabilizing blood sugar, the body preserves this fine network of circulation that supports organ health and physical vitality. The body is remarkably adaptive when given consistent signals. When blood sugar remains balanced over time, insulin sensitivity improves, inflammatory markers decline, and arteries regain their ability to respond to changing demands. This adaptability is not theoretical. It is observed repeatedly in clinical and population studies. The arteries respond not to isolated events, but to patterns that are reinforced daily. Protecting artery walls is not about avoiding all carbohydrates or striving for perfection. It is about preventing extremes that force the body into metabolic stress. When blood sugar remains within a healthy range, the bloodstream becomes a supportive environment rather than a damaging one. In that environment, arteries are better protected, repair mechanisms function more efficiently, and circulation remains strong and resilient over time. The human body responds far more powerfully to repetition than to intensity. This principle is especially true when it comes to circulation and vascular health. Arteries are living, adaptive tissues that constantly read signals from the bloodstream. What they experience once may leave little impact, but what they experience consistently reshapes their behavior. Small daily actions, when repeated over time, create biological instructions that the body follows with remarkable precision. Every time supportive nutrients enter the bloodstream, they influence endothelial cells, smooth muscle tone, and inflammatory signaling. These effects may appear subtle in a single moment, but the body records them. When the same positive signals are delivered regularly, arteries begin to anticipate a stable environment. This anticipation changes how they function. Blood vessels become more responsive, inflammation gradually declines, and circulation improves not through force, but through adaptation. Circulation is not just about how fast blood moves. It is about how smoothly it flows. Consistent supportive habits reduce friction within the arteries. Endothelial cells regain their ability to regulate dilation and constriction efficiently. This means blood can travel with less resistance, placing less strain on the heart and allowing tissues to receive oxygen and nutrients more effectively. Over time, This smoother flow translates into better energy delivery throughout the body. One of the most fascinating aspects of vascular biology is how quickly arteries begin to respond to repeated positive signals. Within weeks of consistent support, measurable improvements in endothelial function can occur. Nitric oxide availability increases, vessel elasticity improves, and inflammatory markers decrease. These are not surface-level changes, they reflect deep physiologic shifts that strengthen the cardiovascular system from the inside. The power of consistency also lies in how it reduces biological stress. When the body is exposed to erratic patterns, arteries remain in a reactive state. They must constantly adjust to fluctuations in blood sugar, inflammatory molecules, and oxidative stress. Consistent habits smooth out these fluctuations. The bloodstream becomes more predictable, and arteries can operate in a balanced mode rather than an emergency response mode. Oxygen delivery is another critical benefit. Efficient circulation ensures that oxygen reaches muscles, organs, and even the smallest capillaries without delay. When arteries are flexible and responsive, they can adjust blood flow based on demand. This adaptability supports physical stamina, cognitive clarity, and tissue repair. Over time, improved oxygen delivery enhances overall vitality, often in ways people do not immediately connect to arterial health. Consistency also strengthens resilience. Life inevitably introduces stress, whether physical, emotional, or environmental. Arteries that have adapted to supportive patterns are better equipped to handle these challenges. They recover more quickly from temporary stressors and are less likely to sustain lasting damage. This resilience is not accidental. It is trained through repeated exposure to a stable, supportive internal environment. Perhaps the most empowering aspect of this process is its accessibility. Transformative changes do not require extreme measures. They require understanding how the body learns and responds. When small supportive actions such as virgin olive oil, raw honey, and Ceylon cinnamon are repeated daily, they compound. Each day builds on the last, reinforcing healthier circulation patterns and protecting vascular integrity. The body does not measure effort the way the mind does. It measures signals. When those signals are clear, consistent, and supportive, arteries respond with improved flexibility, smoother blood flow, and stronger long-term function. Over time, these changes reshape circulation in a way that feels natural, sustainable, and deeply aligned with how human biology is designed to thrive. So tonight, instead of thinking healing is out of your control, remember this: your body is designed to heal, especially while you sleep. Small, intentional habits before bed can create powerful changes over time. Take care of your arteries, and they will take care of you. Because when blood flows freely, life flows better too.